Hi, my name is George Javard, and I'm a man in a basement. For this next segment, we're going to go back to the Black Basement series and talk about the amazing woman, Lucille Hunter. Take this with a grain of salt because I'm not a history scientist, but what I find what happens when talking about Black history is our own chocolate version of great man theory. Because history is made just as much of the little folks as it is of the big people. I like a good gab about a black face in a high place, but I also like to know about the people that really flesh things out, the you and me's of history. That rhymed. Wow, I'm a poet and I'm not gonna go there. Got you. But in this segment, we're gonna talk about the amazing Lucille Hunter. Born in 1878 in Michigan, Lucille Hunter would travel to the Yukon in 1898 for the Klondike Gold Rush. But unlike most stampeders, Lucille Hunter and her husband Charles chose to take the Stikine River route in hopes that it would be easier. It wasn't easier. It's actually, in fact, way harder and let me add, she was pregnant at the time. She would later give birth in Teslin and name her first daughter Teslin. Now, this always reminds me, right? Like, whenever I'm having a bad day, I just gotta remind myself that there's a woman who's doing exactly what I'm doing, pregnant. My gosh. Okay. They then traveled down to Dawson because it was winter by this time by dog sled. You notice that I said down to Dawson instead of up to Dawson? Yes, that's correct, because Dawson is downstream. If anybody says up to Dawson, they're wrong. Correct them immediately. It is unclear why her and her husband left the lower 48, but it was probably due to the extreme racism and segregation that was at the time. Of course, it's 1897. You got to remember that. It's not heaven. It's 1897. I should write that down. It's not heaven. It's 1897. Unlike other stampeders who would only stay in Dawson for like 1 or 2 seasons, Lucille stayed there for 40 years and would even stay there after her husband Charles died in 1939, walking the over 200 kilometers between Dawson and Mayo to check on her various silver and gold claims. Wow, that is boss. 200 kilometers? I pat myself on the back whenever I do a 5K run. Woo! Slay. In her later years, she would remain fiercely independent, even though she was blind. She would stay in the Yukon until her death in 1972 at the ripe old age of 93. Everyone who knew her talked about her with the utmost respect. I'll leave you with this, with the words of another great Yukoner, Charlotte Renchuk. Lucille Hunter had so many strikes against her really to begin with. To actually make that journey and to thrive as a black woman in the territory, I think was really amazing. Well, I hope you learned a lot in that episode. Be sure to like and subscribe. And like we say in the Yukon, peace.